Chances are, if you're a pastor, you've wanted to record a video of your teaching and have it decently produced, but don't necessarily want to take the time to learn how to use a video editor. And maybe you don't have anyone that you can rely on to do a lot of that video editing for you. What if I told you you could do it all with AI? Well, as I just mentioned, all of these videos have been edited with AI, and chances are, as a pastor, you occasionally want to put together some videos. Maybe you want to put something together for a broader audience than just your church on YouTube, or maybe you want to put together some things for your church with some cuts and various things. Well, you don't have to be skilled with a video editor in order to do it. You can just ask AI to. Now, the way that I have made these videos is with Blender in headless mode. If you've ever heard of Blender, then you know that it is typically used as a 3D modeling program, but it also has a video editor in it. And it's one that I've used in the past directly as a full-blown application where you move things around, etc. It's very complicated. A lot of people do not prefer it because it is relatively hard to use. At the same time, it is one of the more powerful options for video editors. However, the reason that I'm using it this time is not just because I've used it in the past, but because I asked AI what video editor would be installable on Linux, ideally open source and free, and also give you the most control over being able to edit it yourself without me controlling it. And the answer was Blender. Blender can be used headlessly. Headlessly means without the app visually coming up. So it's running on the computer, but it is not displaying anything. So I would like to walk you through what that looks like. This past video that I've just recorded that hopefully you've seen at this point, if you've watched these videos, that video has not come out yet. I'm about to edit it. So let me go ahead and walk you through the process. And I think there are going to be some important concepts for you to learn. All right. So if I go ahead and pull up my file explorer, you can see here that I've got this OBS recording directory where I do some recording things. That's going to be important in a minute. I also have this videos directory with an OBS subdirectory that has all the recordings that I've made in it. Now, these two recordings that have come after 5 o'clock today are for this video. These recordings up here are all for the previous video. These are the ones that we need to edit together. Now, if I go back here and I look at this agentic pastor directory, you can see that I have some scripts and I've got this directory called 001 BC, standing for Baptist Catechism flashcards. That was the first episode. And it has all these different things. It has the description for the YouTube video. It has the thumbnail. It has a promo clip that I posted on X. And it has the actual episode file. All of this was generated by AI. I did not make any of this by hand. I did edit the description a little by hand before posting it, but otherwise, all of this has been done with AI. So if you would like to be able to put together videos for your church, whether it be for a broader audience or for your church in particular, this may be a very helpful way if you find it tedious to work with a video editing program, and that's not really your line of work. Let's go ahead and begin looking into this. Now, the first thing that you need to know about how to use AI here is the notion of a skill. A skill, you can think of a skill as like a savable prompt. It's not really, but it is kind of. basically, it's a markdown file, a file just of text that describes some kind of task that you would like it to perform on a repeated basis, occasionally with different parameters, but the same general feel. Here, what we want is a video editing skill. We want a video editing skill that's going to do several things. Let's go ahead and write that down. Just like last time, I'm going to choose to write this down on paper rather than try to write it down in a Google Doc, because I found that a little too difficult last time. So the first thing that I'd like here for this skill is I would like it to understand the purpose of these videos. So that will be important context for it to know. I also wanted to know that every episode needs to start with an intro and then the title card that has the theme song or the theme music, whatever you call it, and then the end card also with the same. So we're going to do title card, we're going to do intro, exit, etc. I also want to give it some instruction about how to understand when I do a bad job and I want it to fix things. So I'm going to give it instructions about that as well. Sometimes I tell it that I'm about to start. Sometimes I tell it that I did a bad job. And sometimes I will tell it to add information and even to obscure part of the screen. Okay, that seems like enough for me right now. So let's go ahead and try to write this skill. I would like you to create a skill for video editing. The first step this skill needs to do is to move everything from my videos OBS directory over into another directory that will be for the purpose of this video. We will start off with, okay, this is the part where I'm starting to get fuzzy. I didn't actually think through this when I was talking just now, but we need to take all those videos and move them over into one of these little project directories. Now, I don't know if I'll always just be doing these agentic pastor videos. I might do other kind of videos as well, but we can have it default to that. So let me think about how to say this. I will specify when I invoke the skill what kind of video this is. Right now, the only kind of video I have in the videos directory is agentic pastors videos. The purpose of the agentic pastor videos is to demonstrate the use of AI. These videos might be of varying length. They could be anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour long, depending. I would want cut out of those videos anything that is just me waiting for AI to complete. Also, at the beginning of every video, there should be an introduction where I explain something that's just me, a talking head. I will point out to you what I want the introduction to be by saying, "Director, this is the introduction." Now, after the introduction, there should be a title card that says Agentic Pastor episode whatever, and then some description of the episode. You can see in the first episode an example of that. Then, at the end, there should be a similar title card. Once again, you can see episode 1 for an example of that. And it should play the theme music that you can find in episode 1 as well. Right now, I've noticed that the scripts and assets are all in that episode 1 directory, but a lot of those should probably be moved out into the higher directory so that they can be reused at other times. Throughout the video, I may say the word director. When I say the word director and there is not additional context, it means that I am instructing you. I will either say director action, where you will know that I want the next cut to start a moment later when I begin speaking. I may also say, director, cut that out. That means the previous thing that I just said, I didn't like, and it was a bad take, and I want you to fix it because I'm about to fix it. I may also ask you to hide some information on the screen, some personal information, for example, like a phone number. I also may say, director, add some text here that would tell you to add some text to the screen explaining something, or adding some text to the previous clip to explain something. All right, now that was a lot, but I think this is going to be helpful. Let me know if there is anything else I should tell you about the nature of these videos. There's something else I'm thinking about adding here. Also, not all the videos that I do may be agentic pastor videos. Therefore, a lot of these instructions might be too specific. If you think they belong in the agentic pastor directory, like, for example, the purpose of the videos, then let's put that there rather than directly in the skill. That way the skill can just be for that which any kind of video I might record would need. I think we're good. All right, so now it's asking me where the skill should live. Is this a global skill? And the reason why it's confused is because I am asking it to touch directories outside of this one I'm currently in. But I really do kind of just want this here in this directory because I'm going to back up this directory with all the instructions for creating videos and things like that. So let's pick that. OBS recording.claude skills. There we go. Except one thing you should know is that Claude stores skills differently than every other AI. And so I want to clarify some things. I'm going to go ahead and pick this and then clarify afterwards. All right, now it's going to ask about the intro, card intro, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Talking head, etc. That's how I want to do it. Not how I did the first video, but how I want to do it moving forward. Except for it did not put theme music with this first card. The theme music should also be played with the first card. Also, I want the skill to be stored in a way that would match other AIs as well in the .agents directory. Claude should just link to that rather than store it directly in .claude skills. So yeah, Claude has its own little particular ways of storing things, and that is something that will make other AIs not understand. So whenever Claude touches the AI features of a directory, I ask it to do it in a way that would match other AIs. For this skill, I also want you every time to generate a thumbnail and to generate a YouTube description and to generate a promo video. For the thumbnail, that's going to look different for every series. So once again, this might be something that should live in the root directory of Agentic Pastor, for example, the thumbnail specific instructions. I don't really know how I'm going to encourage it what kind of promo video to make, except for particular questions. So maybe I'll tell it to prompt me. For the promo video, I think it would be best if you pulled out some highlights and then suggested them to me for a promo. The things that you think would be most compelling for social media. So the promo video is just a short video that's just a clip within the whole episode to give people an idea of the flavor of the thing. Also, for each episode, you should write a suggested post for X. Please make the language sound straightforward and not too titillating, because that is just not my style. Yeah, I don't want to sound like a normie. Like a normie social media influencer. Maybe I'll say that. I'd really rather not sound like a normie social media influencer. I'm a straightforward guy. Cut that. Also, if it isn't clear, I expect you to edit the video with Blender headlessly. All right, so it took the instructions I gave it and it decided to create inside of Agentic Pastor this production file that describes specific things to this series. If I ever come up with a different series and we can have series specific information in a different production file. All right, and then there's various scripts for reuse. Some of those scripts are for Agentic Pastor and some for any video series. Now, it's important to understand the difference between a skill and a script. A script is a computer program. A skill is for an AI program, basically. It's the difference between computer code and English. A skill is going to be written in English for the AI to interpret. A script is written in some computer code like Python, etc. So things that are very mechanical, you want as scripts. They're a lot cheaper to run just on your hardware, etc., so that you're not burning tokens. But things where you actually need AI judgment, that is what you put into a skill. And one of the most important aspects of skill writing is recognizing what things can be scripts and then instructing the AI to make scripts, because that's going to be cheaper. It is going to be more consistent in results. So if you can recognize those things, that's really helpful. You don't have to know how to build the script or anything. The AI can build the script. But if you're instructing it, hey, that should be a script, or should this be a script, even just asking it, that will be a really good way of going about skill writing. Okay, it's made some tools, etc. Okay, things at once. Where does the introduction get recorded? Same session as body or separate take, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, unfortunately, I've been really inconsistent in this. Does director action ever cancel the previous action if you say it twice in a row? Yeah, that's fine. Episode numbering when the session spans 2 sittings. 1 episode or 2. It should be 2 episodes. No, that's 1 episode. I'll give it instructions. I should have also mentioned that I'll explain what the title should be. Or maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it should figure it out itself. Is there a subscribe sign off beat you want held in fixed form? Or is it ending whatever you say on the tape? Yeah, it's just that. How much lower third text do you actually want? Episode 1 is sparse. Yeah, I do like it sparse. Okay, let's go ahead and answer these questions. Number 1, the introduction happens wherever it happens. Usually this is going to be at the beginning or end of my recording session. This time I recorded it in the beginning, but in the previous one, I recorded it all the way at the very end. I will typically say, director, this should be the introduction, or that last clip should be the introduction. Number 2, yes, director action can sometimes cancel a previous action. Hopefully you can understand contextually when that would be the case. I will instruct you as far as combining episodes from different sessions. Maybe you can just ask me when it's not obvious. There is not a consistent subscribe or sign off beat beyond just what I do in the video and then the title card with the theme music. Number 5, I liked the pattern in episode 1, a little bit of explainer text, not too much more. Everything looks like it's ready to go. Now you can invoke a skill in 2 ways. One is explicitly by doing / and then, what was our skill? It was edit video or something. Video edit. There we go. That's what it named it. Video edit. So we can do it that way, or we can do it by simply speaking and hoping that it picks up the skill. So if I said, edit the video, blah, 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 it would probably find that skill. Now, I've heard from others that if you have more than 15 skills, it starts having a hard time identifying those. But I find even with few skills, it doesn't always know whether or not it should invoke a skill. So it's best to invoke it explicitly if you have a skill in mind that you want to invoke. Otherwise, they're just there for Claude to use as necessary. Everything that I recorded today before 5 o'clock needs to be a new episode of Agentic Pastor. This episode is about making a membership class handbook. Go ahead and start producing the video. Now, I'm curious whether or not it will do what I think it will, or what I told it to do. So let me go ahead and pull up the File Explorer, and we can see. All right, notice that it does have a Claude directory and an agents directory like I told it to for the skills. So there's the skill. But then what I'm really interested in is the videos directory. All right, so we've got a videos directory with Agentic Pastor, and it hasn't made a second episode yet, but let's check out these. So I'm expecting these videos here to disappear and get moved into the Agentic Pastor directory into an episode 2. So let's see what happens. It's obviously making some scripts back here. All right, so it did create a second directory for this episode, Membership Handbook. And what about here? And it removed everything except for the 2 videos that I've just recorded for this session. So all that is good. All right, well, it went for a very long time, much longer than I expected, although I did expect it to take a long time since I thought that it would try rendering the whole video. And it turns out that it did the transcription, like in other words, it got my voice, turned that into text so that it can tell what I'm saying. And it didn't notice that it was done. So I asked, can you confirm it's still going? And then it explained that it was just kind of waiting forever. I don't know if it would do that again though. So let me go ahead and instruct it. Whatever the problem was when you were waiting, is that going to happen again? Is there anything you need to do to fix the skill or a script so that doesn't happen again? Incredible. Incredible. It found that part in the video where I had told it, director, please cover up my phone number and my credentials. And here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and say it again. Director, that is my phone number. Please cover it up. At the same time, you can include this part of the video where I'm saying director, because I don't mean that I want you to cut this part out, since the point of this video is to show my audience that I can instruct you by saying director. So it found the issue and it shouldn't happen again. But at this point, it has begun the render, and there is 81 minutes of timeline, so it will take a while. I'm wondering if we can speed that up a bit, because I don't necessarily need it to be a full render just to see a little about the final result. Let me go ahead and talk to it. I imagine that once I see the final result, I will have some edits for you. So is there a way to give me some kind of preview? Maybe you could render it at a lower resolution, or you could show it to me in some format that just splices videos together. I don't know. What is your suggestion? Also, I noticed that you were writing the description for the YouTube video. The description is a bit too much. It's a little too much narrative and too much storytelling. I would like it to be a more straightforward description of what the video is about, without trying to sound so flowery. That wasn't the best word, but hopefully it will get the idea. I ended up editing the description last time a good bit and probably did not edit it in place. I probably just edited it in YouTube. And so therefore it's just comparing to what it has from last time. Actually, I could tell it to go look up the video. I think the description from the last video I ended up editing. Can you go on YouTube and find the video that I ended up releasing and take that description so that you have a more up-to-date version of the description of that video so that you can compare it appropriately? Well, that was a bit of a word salad, but hopefully it will understand what I meant. Well, it ended up finding it, so it should be able to take that description. And it's editing the old description with the new one that I posted. I didn't tell it where to find it or anything. It just searched and found it. While we're at it, ideally, I would like to be able to upload this video directly to YouTube. It would be very nice if I didn't have to actually visit YouTube in order to upload it. So I'm going to, at the same time, something else I would really like to do is to just be able to upload YouTube videos directly, to have Claude do that without actually visiting YouTube. That would be really neat. Maybe I could confirm before they get listed, but before that it could be an unlisted video. So if I go ahead and create a new Claude session here. In this new Claude session, I'm going to tell it what I want to do, that I want to have a new skill that's going to be able to upload this video. I would like to have a skill that would upload edited videos to YouTube. You can see the editing skill that I have that creates a description for a video and a thumbnail, etc. So the reasonable next step would just be to have a skill that would deploy the video to YouTube. Can you make a deploy video skill that deploys the specified video? Go ahead and control Chrome to get whatever credentials you would need in order to set up a way of accessing YouTube. All right, I'm full of inarticulate word salads today, but thankfully AI does not care that much. In fact, there is a extension, I think it would be called. I'm not sure what the right term is, but there are ways that you can set Claude up so that when you speak to it, it actually translates your speech to caveman speech, where you say not many word because one word do trick, and then it sends that to Claude. And because it's using less words, you're actually spending less money, and you get about the same results because it's pretty good at interpreting what you're trying to say. Okay, so it's saying that there are some difficulties with uploading via the API, because then if it gets locked, I won't be able to appeal. Interesting. Not sure what the best pick here is. Okay, this first one looks reasonable. The skill drive studio.youtube.com, and you're already logged in Chrome. That's not exactly what I want. We could set up the cloud project and OAuth client via Chrome. Uploads land locked, private, and unusable until Google approves a compliance audit. Okay. I don't want to do a compliance audit. So looking into this more, I'm not sure this is really needed. I think it's assuming I'm trying to do something more sophisticated than I am. I'm just doing this for my own personal video, so I'm going to chat about it and try arguing a little. I think that if I'm doing this for my own personal video and I'm using the OAuth path, OAuth is just the name of the authentication method that it was mentioning, then I should be allowed without any kind of special audit. Can you double check what you were telling me and ensure that you were right? On that, let me go ahead and rename this to YouTube upload. Rename tube upload. All right, so it found out that you can do this if you're using a project that was created long enough ago. And I do have projects that are created long enough ago, but I don't want it to do that, so I'm going to tell it. I don't want you to do that. I would like you to use a specific project that is for the church. So let's not go that route. All right, it's asking me what project would I like the credentials to live on. Yeah, I would like it to be the Silicon Valley Reformed Baptist Church one. There is also the old project that we had for the church. This notion of a Google Cloud project, you can set that up if you want to. Once again, this is more of a stretch thing to be able to automatically upload to YouTube, but the more you can automate, the better. It's asking me about which channel it's going to upload to. The Agentic Pastor. I don't know if that really answers the question, though, because it's asking if it's personal, if it's associated with a brand account, and I'm not even sure how those things work anymore. But it's still relying on the whole project creation date, which feels like a hack. I don't really like that. So I might cancel this and ask it to find some other way. All right, it's trying to set up something so that we can get audited and then approved. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Yeah, I don't want any of this to happen. Instead, let me argue with it based on something that Gemini told me. So Gemini told me that this should be okay. And I will share what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my conversation with Gemini to it. Can you read this conversation I had with Gemini and tell me whether or not it changes anything for you? Over here on this tab, it's asking me if I want to blur my zip code. Yes, I want to blur my zip code in that previous video. Oh, wait, two things to decide. My zip code on the screen. What else? Promo candidates. Oh, right. Asking build. Yeah, that would be interesting to do the actual charge. Yeah, let's go ahead and mention that. The actual the order going through would be good, but also one of my final scans over the cover and the content. So if you could just take a clip from one and then a clip of the order going through and then put those together, that would be great. All right, well, it explained the problem with the conversation I had with Gemini. It did not address the videos.insert part of the API, and yes, it does lock down the video, so that's not going to work. All right, let's go with your idea to control Chrome and do the upload yourself. So interestingly, over here, Claude is controlling the browser and figuring out what it can do and where the channel is. So it looks like it's figuring things out, and this is going to be the path forward. That it's not going to do it directly through the API, but it is instead going to upload videos by navigating the website like a human would. All right, well, the upload skill ended up being pretty simple since it's just going to control the browser. So I'm going to go ahead and finalize this. All right, so I found a really nice place to clip the promo video where I say, so now time to ship it. And then I reveal that I've managed to order copies. Now, something to mention is that last time I asked it to create a page called review.html that will display the video and let me make comments on timestamps so that I can comment back to Claude and have it fix things up a bit more. Now, I've not used that. I did build it just by a single prompt last time I had this open. That was a few days ago. So we have that sitting in here, but I have not tried it, so we'll see if it ends up working. So I noticed that you have 5 shells open. What are those all doing? Secondly, is it actually rendering the video currently? Okay, so it's still in the process of taking the videos and turning them into smaller versions so that it can then render those together into a final video. And I don't know if this is going to be faster in the end or not. I suppose it is if you need to do 2 or 3 or more rounds of editing. All right, well, it's finished here. Let's go ahead and see what it's done. Go ahead and open up the review page in Chrome. All right, well, here's our video. We can just start. Well, today we're going to build a handout for memory-based tools that we use, which explain files, a famous math title screen. There we go. Nice. Better, okay. Did it jump in the way I asked it to? Large enough. Italicize. Do that. Things are looking pretty good. But and then we can write our review notes over here. Let's see. If that I want to write a note here, how would I do it? N for note here. Interesting. Huh. Well, that's cool, but I realized that going back and forth every 25 minutes, while that worked for the first episode to just go ahead and wait for a render while I do something else, it really does interrupt a lot of things. And it would be nice if it could just show me a preview like you would have in any normal video editing software. So I'm going to ask it if it can just put this in Blender in such a way that I can open up Blender and just look at the preview. This took too long. Would it be possible to, in the future, show me the preview just in Blender? I'm wondering if there are more specific things that I should be telling it about the format that it's using, but maybe this will be good enough. All right, and now it's opened up Blender. So let's see what happens here. I assume I should just click through this. First time I've opened up Blender on this computer. Well, the reason I chose Blender in the first place was because it was going to give Claude a lot of opportunity to drive it, and I wasn't planning on using it at all. But now that I actually am trying to use it and running into all these problems, I think it would be best to just re-strategize. I would like to take the strategy of looking at a preview of the video in an editor. Let's see. In an editor that is not Blender. I don't care if you end up rendering the video with Blender, but I want to be able to add text notes with some other program and do variable speed for the preview video with some other program as I'm going through reviewing it and editing it. Any recommendations for what would work well for you creating a preview for me that I could watch with some other video editor? All right, so it's giving me some options here, and the first one seems to be just the original plan that we had of looking at a rendered video. It's just going to do the video faster, do the rendering faster. I'm not too certain about that, so I'm going to ask for more information. For the MPV option, that would be lower quality. It would still require a long time for the proxy sources to be made originally compressed, right? So it would still be a long time for the first edit. If you switch to Kdenlive, would there be any downsides? Would we even need Blender at all? Could you drive a render of Kdenlive just headlessly? Would I be able to write notes in? Would I be able to do variable speed playback in the preview window? So it sounds like the only problem is basically all the stuff we've built already, it wouldn't be able to use. I think that's what it's saying. And if that's the case, then I don't mind it, just rebuilding things. So is the only problem that we would be redoing work? I don't mind you building these scripts from scratch. Yes, go ahead and install Kdenlive and melt, and then let me open up. Let me change that. I'll have it do it for me. Go ahead and open up a video in Kdenlive in order that I can try playing it back at a faster speed, making sure it's understandable. Claude had made a note about it possibly not being understandable if I were to play it back at faster speed, so we can test that out, and then I will decide whether or not to keep going this route. All right, so it brought up Kdenlive, and it looks like this is going to be easier to use. So response to this is, I'm so tired of seeing these posts. I'm so tired of seeing my beloved field of study be the testing line at different speeds. Now that was a little choppy. It wasn't the easiest to hear since it's just actually dropping frames and bits of audio rather than really speeding things up in a more sensible way. But it was tolerable. And then I believe I can just right click, add or remove timeline marker. So G, well, let's try it. Let's try G without clicking that. G, marker. Now let's say I want to write something really long. Remove from here where I say the thing all the way to where I say the other thing. Okay, yeah, it's not going to cut us off too early there. Let's go ahead and write that. Now that looks ugly, but we can work with that. So, and I have, now let's see, where is that marker? There's very early on here. If I go here, come back, yep, there it is. Okay, great. So we can make markers in here. Let's try saving this file, save, and ask Claude whether or not it sees the marker, just to make sure. I will save it here, example. I saved the project as an example Kdenlive project at the root of my videos directory. I would like you to confirm that you can see the marker that I placed in the file in order to, in the future, be able to make edits based on those markers in the comments that I leave. Well enough. Let's go ahead and work with that. Go ahead and rewrite this skill just to use Kdenlive instead of Blender or the review HTML page. None of those should be necessary at this point if we just stick to Kdenlive. Also, at the end when the video is rendered, we need to make sure that the audio is normalized appropriately for YouTube. There are standard audio levels that are appropriate for YouTube, so it can figure those out. I was in the middle of creating a video for episode 2. There's probably already a lot of data in there about where the cuts should be made. Can you go ahead and make a Kdenlive version of that so that I could then review it? All right, so now I'm asking it whether or not it can watch as I make notes and then make edits just as I'm making notes. Now, this is a little bit better than talking to Claude because I can specify the timestamp very clearly in the interface. At the same time, it's not really ideal because then I can't just press the space bar and talk to it like I would like to do, but we'll see. Maybe I could ask it about the playhead. Maybe if it knew where my playhead was. That seems unlikely though. Is there any way that you, while I'm using Kdenlive, would be able to see the playhead? Right, so it's able to know where it is at save time, so I can click save and then it will know where the playhead is. It'd be really ideal if it just knew. Is it possible to make any kind of Kdenlive plugin that would let you know where the playhead is? All right, so Kdenlive can apparently trigger a save and then look at the position of the playhead. I think this may be what we need to do. Let's go ahead and try it. So rather than recording notes, I'd like to just talk to you directly. Every time I talk to you, you will look at where the playhead is and then understand that I want you to make an edit around that point. So what I'm explaining is that I don't want to make notes directly in Kdenlive anymore. I just want to talk directly to Claude. I'm hearing the audio for the title card, but not the audio for the actual video. So I notice that audio is only coming in through my left ear. That's going to be a standard issue with the audio interface that I have. I'm using a Scarlett Focusrite with 2 input ports, and so because I'm only talking through one input, it's just coming in through one, and that's going to need to be corrected in every video. Please write that into the skill or script, whatever you need to write it into, in order to make sure it gets fixed every time. All right, so I found that part where I want to cut out a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to instruct it now. It's still working on other things, but I think I can go ahead and tell it. Director action. From where I say stretch goal here, I want to cut out everything up until the File Explorer appears. All of that is kind of awkward. Also, I've noticed that every time you edit the file, Kdenlive pops up a message saying that it made a backup for me. Is there any way that you can keep that from happening? Because it's happening every time. So here's an interesting one. Watch this. Then effort high. That is generally my rule of thumb for almost everything. There are specific. All right, it said this, his default model opus effort high. That's interesting because it's not in my voice. I would have expected these little bottom third textual things to be in my voice. So I'm going to instruct it about that and make that part of the skill too. I notice that there's bottom third text that says his default model opus effort high. Saying his default makes it not in my voice. Lower third text should be in my voice. Please update the skill to make that clear and edit any lower third text in this video that is not in my voice. There's a lot of dead space right around the playhead where I walk back into the room, and I'd like a lot of that cut out. Just come in when I start talking. I've noticed that every time you save and hot reload, that while my playhead is in the right place, the zoom level and the slider is reset. The slider is all the way to the left back at the beginning of the video, and so I kind of lose my place even though the playhead is in the right place. Just to show you what I mean. Well, I've kind of fixed it. But basically every time every time Claude changes the video, it resets everything with this all the way back here, zoomed way down like this. Okay, and that's not what I want. I want it just at the current zoom level and back here. So I think what it's doing is saving where the playhead is and restarting that, as opposed to it just naturally being there. So it just needs to do the same thing with the slider and the zoom level. Once again, these are all conveniences that are not necessary. You can just do it like I've done this before, where you just speak to it and speak timestamps to it. I wanted to be able to do this in a slightly more convenient way where it knows what timestamp I'm looking at. In these videos, there's usually a core thing that I'm trying to accomplish that's very easy, and the rest of it, 90% of what I'm doing in the video is some hard thing that makes it just a little bit nicer. Okay, so here's an example of it doing its little backup thing again, which for some reason it still hasn't figured out. So let me stop that, and okay, we didn't lose the position that time, so that's good. That's good. All right, and you see here it's noticing that what the zoom and the scroll position is, so it's going to remember that in the future, Lord willing. All right, it can't figure out the backup pop-up. That is a little annoying. Yes, I would like you to figure out the backup thing. If you can do that with a sub-agent, that would be nice. That way it's not on the main thread and not kind of distracting while I'm trying to talk to about my edits. Also, the audio still seems to just be coming through my left ear. That still seems to need to be fixed. Now it's telling me that it can't suppress that backup dialog, so I'm wondering if it just can suppress backups altogether. If you can't suppress the backup dialog, can you suppress backups altogether? I don't think I need them since you're watching what's happening. All right, here I'm doing a lot of text editing, and it's probably minimally interesting, so I'm going to through the following. Director action. About where my playhead is, there's a lot of me editing a bunch of text. All of that is not very interesting. If you could abbreviate it a lot more, that would be good. You're talking about repairing existing proxies. What are the proxies? Are they even needed anymore? I thought the proxies were when we were trying to make little compressed videos that would be faster to edit. All right, well, I did a bunch of editing off camera, and I think everything is in the right place, so go ahead and do a full render and then upload to YouTube when you are done. All right, it's asking me for the promo information, so I'm gonna suggest it do both of these things that it's talking about. The part where I made the order and then the part where I saw the cover. I would like both of these. Do B and then jump to A. Maybe in between you can have a title card that says a few moments later. It would be nice as part of the video editing skill, you also generated a report in the directory that had all the textual things in the thumbnail, and then put that in an HTML file, which you would then open up in Chrome so that I could review it all in one place. It's saying that it's going to wait until the videos finish rendering and then building a thumbnail. I'm going to suggest it just goes ahead and does it. You already have enough information for the thumbnail, right? Why don't you just go ahead and do it? Why don't you put that into the skill also, that this should be done during the final render as opposed to waiting until the final render is complete. Use sub-agents as necessary for these tasks. Go ahead and add to the deploy to YouTube skill that I would also like to have a tab open with the X post ready to go. It's offering me different suggestions for the X post. I would like it to just make that part of the review page that it sends me to. I missed what you said as far as the X posts go. Why don't you just make that part of the review process on the page where you let me review the thumbnail and everything? All right, well, it opened this up for us. Let me just make a comment to it real quick, though, about that. I noticed you opened it up in a new window rather than new tab. I would like this to just be in a new tab. All right, now that I got that settled, let's look at placeholder still present, video URL, blah, blah, not rendered. Okay, not the most flattering picture of me. Maybe we can choose a different one. Just like you make multiple X post options, making multiple thumbnail options would be nice. Okay, it has these things: 4 handouts, 1 printed book. Is that really the most interesting thing here? The most interesting tagline. The interesting thing is that the typesetting was done automatically, and that we automated ordering the printing. So let me just adjust that. I don't have any specific taglines. The 4 handouts, 1 printed book tagline. What was really nice about that project was that we automated the typesetting and also automated the printing. If you can highlight that somehow in the tagline instead, that would be better. Let's look Okay, this is just a bit too much with a lot of, some of these chapters are too small. Well, 3 minutes isn't terrible. 3 minutes, 1 minute, what we're building, the handouts being combined. Yeah, see, a lot of this stuff it's too narrow. Let me go ahead and talk to it. I think your chapters are a little too granular. In the skill, it would be better to give some guidelines that we would like to group these so there's not too many chapters. It looks like there may even be about 20 or 25. There should be far less than that. Something closer to 10 or 15. All right, it's got the different projects in here. Lulu, LaTeX. Yeah, that's all very helpful. And then same tagline I put in last time. Promo clip not cut yet. X post, pick one. Promo clip, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, we're getting there. I don't understand why it put this text here, but it did. Playing a second video using AI in the work of ministry. This one, blah 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 blah. New video. Building a printed handbook for a membership class. Yes, that one looks a lot better. For separate handouts, go in, type. Okay, yeah, let's do option B. I like option B for the X post. Go with that. Also, in the skill, make sure that the post and also the description for YouTube and everything uses curly quotes and curly apostrophes rather than straight ones. I prefer that. You know, it wasn't that long ago, Claude could not, for the life of it, do curly quotes and curly apostrophes. And every time I would ask it, it would say, okay. And then would go and remove all the ones that I had and just use straight quotes because it couldn't distinguish. In the review, I don't really like the whole intro to the different X post options. You should just get rid of that. And in the skill or template or whatever it is, make sure that that doesn't happen again. It's just too verbose. I just want to see the options. Something else that would be really nice is if you could put little option buttons next to these different options and then have a copy button at the bottom of the page where I could copy my answers and then send them back to you. Something I don't like here is that membership and handbook are different colors. It mentioned that it didn't have enough space to do this all on one line, so it put it on 2 lines, but it also made it different colors, and that feels off. I don't like how membership and handbook are 2 different colors in the YouTube thumbnail. They should be the same color to communicate that they are the same idea and are meant to be read together. Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, so it has this little web page for us with this sticky footer. Not a huge fan of this massive sticky footer. Make the footer area with the final options not sticky. It's fine if it's just at the bottom. All right, so it re-rendered this. A few thoughts. Well, first of all, we've got these different versions of my face. Beard crop is a little weird there, but this is probably the best picture, so I'm going to pick that. The description still has probably a bit too many chapters in it. I'm going to give it another set of guidance on that. And then, yeah, we've chosen that. Yeah, I'll just copy my pics, go back into here, paste that, done. There are probably still too many chapters. Change the guidelines to be flexible to go to even less. Also, if it's not obvious, I would like the video itself to be a part of the review page when it's done. Now I'm noticing here that in addition to the thumbnail, they have this extra thing, and I kind of missed what that was for. So I'm going to take a screenshot and ask, what was this for? Where does it get posted? I meant to ask, where does it get posted? So notice that I Control V'd, I pasted the image in the prompt here. You know, it's used the term EDL so much, I'm kind of curious what that means. There's that file edl.json that basically records the transcript with all the timestamps and everything. Let me go ahead and ask here. There is an edl.json file associated with this project. What does EDL stand for? Maybe it would have been quicker just to Google. I don't know. Edit decision list. Okay, interesting. So it says that those words were just so that I could look at the text, but the text is already in the thumbnail. That seems kind of silly to have it twice over. I'm gonna just tell it to remove that if it didn't already. I don't see a point in having that additional text. If I have the thumbnail, I know what the thumbnail looks like. I would also like to choose not really the thumbnail, but the still, and then the title, and then the tagline, each independently. You can make the thumbnail after I have chosen each of these. I realized that if you look over here, I like the still. We went through a couple of options on Membership Handbook before arriving here. And then last, I like typeset and ordered by AI more than I like these other, or typeset and printed. Maybe typeset and printed is better than typeset and ordered, but I like those better than automated start to finish. That's a little too generic. Okay, it's updated our report here, and we've got the actual video. Well, today we're going to build a handout for a membership class in. All right, I can check that out later. We've got this built from the pics below. Okay, yes, still see. I like this, except for the crop on my beard isn't quite great. I'm gonna tell it that real quick. I still like still see, but the crop on my beard isn't nearly as tight as I would like it to be. All right, membership handbook, membership class handbook. Membership handbook sounds good enough for a thumbnail, I think. And then we can say typeset and printed by AI, typeset and ordered by AI. Ordered is probably better. I think people understand what that means. It's funny, it made less and it still split these up. That's just not that helpful. But let's see the length of these. All right, 6 minutes. This one's 9 minutes long. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. I probably made it a little bit more constricted than I should have. Go ahead and make a few more chapters if you think that that would be helpful. I think the main thing that feels overkill to me is putting the anti-A sentiment part in as a separate chapter when it really is just part of the intro. But I don't know, I guess now that I think about it, it makes sense. Maybe I'll just go back to the way we had it before. You can go back to more or less the way we had it before. All right, let's check out this promo clip. Oh, that is classy. Very nice. Very nice. I think there might be a little too much white space here. All right, and it turns out this, oh no, wait. This is interesting SVRPC orientation and the little cross. It did it the way I asked it to. Amazing. Amazing. This feels like it might be a bit much. The Confession of Faith, the Constitution of Congregational Practice, blah, blah, blah. There it is, right there. $144.56 for my 20 copies of this 129-page book that looks something like this, and that's nice. Very cool. All right. Well, that was... It cut off my sentence a little earlier than I would have liked. In the promo video, it cuts off my sentence earlier than I would have liked. It should cut off after I finish whatever it was that I was saying. Oh, that is classy. Very nice. Very nice. I think there might be a little too much. Well, this doesn't quite look right. It didn't incorporate all our new options. The options that I copy at the bottom of the page don't seem to be complete. They don't seem to distinguish the still from the tagline, etc. All right, well, it's now giving me the full set of options here inside of my pick, so I'm going to take that, bring that back over, give it to it. It's going to need to regenerate the thumbnail from that, but meanwhile, it has given us a new promo video, so let's go ahead and watch that. It's just the ending that I wanted to verify. This and this. Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, that was a ride. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so I want to make these videos to help people, and I just have to get over the fact that they're not going to be the most professionally produced, but at least I can produce them quickly. So one thing that I've been experimenting with Claude is trying to come up with other ways of interacting with it, like you already saw with that web page. I can interact with it by copying from a web page and then pasting into it. But I think I'd like to just interact directly through the web page. Can you change the web page report so that you are actually running a server, and when I click a button, you would get the response, so that you would take the final result that I'm sending and then decide what to do with that? It would include the necessary buttons. For example, the submit button when all the options are selected, the button that would trigger uploading to YouTube and X, or at least opening those tabs so that I would be able to make those posts, etc. You know, if when I use vocabulary like a server, etc., you're not totally following, just think of it this way. You can ask it to build you an app to do the thing. Instead of thinking that you have to interact directly with Claude, you can ask it to build you an interface so that you can interact with it. Just say, build me a web app where when I click this, you do that, etc. All right, so everything looks ready. Here's the episode. Well, today we're blah, blah, blah. There's the thumbnail. It picked a different model to make the portrait that made the slice look a lot better. Not the slice, the still. Then I chose that one, blah, blah, blah. These are just different notes that appear on screen. This was a nice addition it added. I did not ask for that. Now, ideally, it would give me buttons so that I could say, no, I don't want that one, but I'm not going to complain with any of these right now. This description looks pretty good. The promo, we already looked at that. This looks okay. I would want something different. I'm going to also say, let's see, something along the lines of, video 20 copy. Whatever. Thing is, I did open the printer's website. Let's just, well, I'll edit it when we get there. Okay, we're going to upload to YouTube first. Okay, so Claude should be working with this. I should expect it to open up something in the browser just any minute, but that has not happened yet. I clicked open the X post and it didn't actually open anything. Did I click that? I think I clicked YouTube. Sorry, I mean I clicked the upload to YouTube button. Alright, so the log does show the upload click. Neither button opens everything, blah, blah. You should have a deploy to YouTube skill that I want you to invoke when I try to upload to YouTube. Let's try again. Well, I think what just happened there was that it just opened the tab directly from the web page. I don't think Claude actually did anything. All you did was open the tab. I was expecting you to invoke the deploy skill. All right, it's driving in now. And let's see what happens. So I'm expecting it to queue up everything except for the upload video part, which it's not allowed to do. It's not allowed to upload something more than 10 megabytes. So videos, episode. I'm not sure where the episode is, pre-norm. I think this is it. Yeah, this is a bit awkward. I feel like this could be improved. I know it's trying to be safe by not uploading files, but I would really like it to. The file is uploading. Go ahead and fill in the other information. All right, now it's going ahead, and that big orange cursor is Claude. That's not me. So it's going to fill in the title and description, etc. Now, ideally, I would have liked to have just done this through the YouTube API, but as you remember from earlier, we're not able to do that because YouTube disallows it. Oh well. It's populating the description now. I wonder if the description is too long. Okay, no, the description should be fine. We just uploaded the thumbnail. Now, ideally, what would be happening, the reason why I don't want to do this by hand is because I can just leave this and have it do all this stuff while I'm not touching it. Of course, while I'm sitting here and watching it defeats the purpose because I am wasting my time, but in the future I will not be doing that. Alright, well, I think it's pretty much done doing its thing. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate around here. Yeah, it's done. Where are my videos? Videos. You'd think this would be easy enough. There we are, creating a membership class handbook. The description. I don't know why that's red. Why would that be red? It's in range. Alright, so I'd like to go ahead and schedule this. Let me scroll on the screen a little so it's a little easier for you to see. We still have that orange glow around because this is Claude's tab. I could open this up elsewhere, but I'm just gonna keep it here. We're going to change to schedule this for next Wednesday. Wednesday at, let's say 8 a.m. Well, I am on Pacific time. I should probably do something like 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Pacific time. Discuss posting to X this time. Okay, so I've had Claude post to X and it's uploading the video here. I'm going to edit some of this text. Making a handbook for a membership class and ordering 20 copies with AI for a church membership class. It seems to be struggling on the upload here. Makes me wonder if something went wrong. I'm going to go ahead and try myself here. Promo clip. Yeah, the extension really doesn't like Claude uploading files. Obviously, there's a lot of damage it could do if it went awry. This is not my preferred way of doing things. Ideally, Claude would write a script that would then upload things through an API, but some of these websites intentionally don't have a way in order to drive traffic directly through their website or app. So if we click the schedule button here, we're going to schedule for Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Confirm. Making a handbook for a church membership class and ordering 20 copies with AI. YouTube link, promo clip. Good enough. Well, as you can see, there were a lot of difficulties along the way, but in the end, we have ended up with something that's pretty easy to use. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done a lot better than using a video editor directly by hand, or better than what I was doing before, which is just talking to Claude about the timestamps and then having it re-render the whole video, which was taking forever. So I'm pretty happy with this. Now, what's going on here in part is that in doing this video, I am trying to automate absolutely every little thing that I can. You don't have to think about it that way. As you approach the problems that you face, just try to automate one little thing. You don't have to automate the YouTube upload and the X upload and the thumbnail selection and the all the other parts of this, right? It can just be a little bit of automation at a time.